And welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show, and this is Catherine Tyson, your host. Good afternoon, and welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. It is Thursday, and I tell you, I have been waiting for Friday. I don't know about you, so we're almost there. Okay, today is kind of like my Thursday on the show, like my Friday on the show because we don't do a show on Friday, so I'm excited, kind of, almost, sorta that I'm closer to Friday than you, but I know you guys are looking forward to it. We live in the tropics, so obviously we look forward to the weekend so we can get some sun and sand and see, because a lot of us just go from home to work, home to work, home to work. And you know what? We need to stop doing that. We need to, what do I always say? We need to work to live, not live to work. So here we are on Thursday in the tropics, blessed as we can be, thankful to be here, thankful to, to have survived this far with this pandemic that we have just swirling around our head everywhere else in the world. And we're walking around with no mask. I do not take that lightly. I feel blessed, and I know that you feel the same. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. This is your Drive at 5 show. This is Catherine Tyson, your host, and I welcome you. And of course, at any time, you can call me at 943-3700. I would love to hear what's on your mind this afternoon. So today, Thursday Success 101, you know what that means, right? That means that we highlight a young Caymanian that is doing great things in the community. I'm always so excited for Thursday when I can find another young Caymanian that is kicking butt, man, that is doing stuff and that's doing things that are not so traditional too, right? That we can really be highlighting these young people, the future. Because I always say that too. Let's usher them into the future, ladies and gentlemen, the people that are older. Let's not be threatened. Let's not be afraid. Let's not hold on to the power. Let's not do all that stuff. That's ridiculous. Let's usher our young people in, usher them through, hold their hand, walk with them, give them some information, teach them stuff, and learn the stuff that they know, because they know a lot of stuff. And they know a lot of stuff that's different than what we know. I'm telling you, you ask a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old right now to fix your phone, and they're fixing your phone. You imagine? They're fixing your phone. I'm telling you, it's insane. I have a little nephew. He knows more about his iPad and phone. I don't know nothing about an iPad. That's the thing. And he's turning stuff on and he's turned it off and he's switching to this and he has 2 things on the screen. I'm like, what are you doing? They're brilliant. So we have to foster them, right? So that's what we're doing. And today I have an amazing guest. And I always say that about my guests because they're all amazing. But this one's a little more amazing than others, I think, because I've seen her grow up. That's the thing. Like, I've known her forever. So I want to introduce you to her this afternoon, Chef Brittany Seymour. And I want to welcome her to the show. But right before I say hello officially to Brittany, I want to give you a daily word of motivation, and that is strong women. May we know them, may we raise them, may we be them, right? Strong women, may we know them, may we be them, or may we raise them. However you want to say it, strong women, we are out there, we are doing it. Let's continue to foster each other. Let's continue to nurture each other. All right. And gentlemen, we're doing the same for you too. Just continue to walk with us. And we are all just doing this thing. This is International Women's History Month, and I'm excited about that. So let me bring Chef Brittany on. Brittany, hi.
Hello, Miss Catherine.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited that you are here, Brittany. I'm so excited that you're here. And I really have watched you grow up.
You did.
It's the same face, the same little teenager, and George Hicks or whatever it was. I think it was George Hicks, right?
George Hicks. That's when I first got to know Richard.
Yes, exactly. He's friends of one of my children. She just mentioned my middle child, Richard. And yeah, you the same girl that I remember. I just remember always being amazed at you because you had so much manners and you're such a nice person. I was like, she being raised right, you know. No,
Well,
I knew that.
Richard always used to tell us, my mom is very. So I knew I had to be.
Did he warn you guys?
I kind of. Sometimes we knew when we came to your house. I mean, I'm always like that anyway because that's how I've been raised.
Oh, goodness.
But we knew when we came to your house, we needed to have our P's and Q's.
Wow.
Your I's dotted on point.
I'm going to call Richard after this show. I did not know that was happening.
Yes.
That is so funny because sometimes he, if someone came through the door, they come through the door and a little girl that just little skirt or little shorts are too short will say, you think that's long enough? What are you doing? you sure that skirt's long enough? And he'd be like, oh, mommy, stop it. And then of course I'd talk to him later about it and I'd say, that's your little girlfriend? You sure? Hey, listen, if that's your little girlfriend, here's what I think she should know. That she doesn't meet your mother looking like that.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things that I was teaching my 13, 14-year-old child. And if I ever caught somebody in the fridge, I'd say, hey, hi, how are you? Is that your refrigerator there? No, it's not your fault. Who are you with? Who's your host? Okay, let's go find your host. Come on, you're with Richard. Richard, is this your guest? Can you please go to the fridge and can you please go and get your guest some juice? Can you go get your guests something? It was just about teaching, right?
Ma'am.
Teaching certain principles and values that I wanted, you to take in your life.
Right.
I think that was a good thing. You were one of them that came kind of already prepared.
I already knew, and that's the thing, right? I mean, my parents put me out there with that notion. Okay, you treat other people's parents and other people the same way you treat us. We demand that kind of respect,
right?
And you should do the same out there as well.
Yeah, but they also must have taught you certain things because even with that, there might be some young people who are not respectful to their parents, and so that's not how I would want them to treat me. They can't treat me that way. And so I think with you, what I loved about it, and you were just such like a little old lady, you had so much. How you doing, Miss Catherine? How's everything? Oh, it's so nice to see you. Yes, ma'am. Okay, good night. Have a good night. You'd make sure you came to find me when you were leaving. It was something. Yeah, I told my son, you need to marry that girl. He's like, I'm 14. Stop it. I was ready to just do the Indian thing and just like, got you prepared for each other. It's funny. I'm going to embarrass him now. So, but when your name kind of came up, and I had you come to talk to the Passport to Success children, who I teach during the day, and one of my other jobs, right? And I'm looking at you like, I know this child. I know her. I know that face. And lo and behold, it was that lovely Brittany that used to be in my house, in my life as a young woman. And here you are now doing great things in your life. And I thought your story is something that I want to share, as I do on this show on Thursday, Success 101. So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing right now. So I have a little bit of your bio that I'll just read a little piece of it, and then we'll talk about your background a little. Sure. So Brittany is the owner and executive pastry chef of local artisan bakery, Scratch Gourmet Desserts Limited, and 1/3 of the Women in White Foundation, a local nonprofit organization that supports local young women who would like to pursue a career in culinary arts. And so basically, you're a chef.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the background, and then tell us kind of, your journey, where your journey has taken you, and bring us kind of up to speed.
Absolutely. So a little bit about my background. I didn't always want to be a chef. I think it kind of came to light after I'd realized that the thing that I wanted to do, which was be an engineer, really wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And that was only after working in an internship setting and realizing, okay, this definitely isn't for me. And baking had always been a hobby. And that was when Cupcake Wars and all that stuff was on TV. And I was like, wow, this is so nice. And then I would have moments where I'm like, okay, well, chefs don't make a lot of money. How is it that, this is being glamorized on TV? How is it that I can be that successful in this setting? So it was a lot of back and forth with myself before I presented the idea to my parents, which my dad was, the culinary industry is a really good place to be. It's, our forefathers were in the kitchens. So ultimately it's somewhere that, I felt like I felt like I had a calling for it. And then of course there was, some things where we were like, okay, well, if it's something that you want to do, you need to stick it out. It's long hours on your feet. It's a lot of hard work. You're going to be getting paid little to nothing to begin with.
Right.
So see if it's something you can make a career out of. And I've always been a very creative person. Art has been something that has definitely been the forefront of, everything that I've ever done. I really enjoyed art in school. And so I want to say it was in my preteens. And I mentioned this to you the other day at Passport to Success when and some people that went to school with me in Georgia would probably remember. I would bake just from the little the cake box mix and bring it to school, like cupcakes, a little everything. And of course, you weren't supposed to do that back then, right?
Right.
So I'd sell those little things to my classmates, and it was really fun, just to clean around in the kitchen. And of course, after that, then I everything that I'd done after that was in preparation to be an engineer.
Okay.
And at that point in time, a lot of my classmates, wanted to be lawyers, wanted to be accountants, wanted to be attorneys, and that never really was for me. It wasn't something I wanted to do. So I always knew it would be something that would be a little bit more tactical, a little bit hands-on. So that was where the engineering came in, and I ultimately in high school I chose all my classes, and I actually took a one of my classes was building technology, and it did really, really well in that class. And it was at that point, I want to say that I said, okay, well, this is, kind of, I need to make up my mind. What am I going to do? Am I going to continue this, or am I going to go into baking? So I continued on that road for a bit. And then, like I said, I went into the internship. I think that's when I was actually working at the Kamana Bay site, and there was nothing there at the time. And I was working with Heads Baltic, and I realized, okay, they're using a lot of math in here. I don't know.
Okay.
And I would tell my dad every day. I'd tell my mom. I'd come home and be like, oh, it's a lot of math. And they're like, well, there's a lot of equations out there that are, given to you. You won't need to do all this in your head. It's stuff that you're going to be given. And I was like, you know what? No, 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 no. It's not my favorite thing, and I definitely didn't grow into being more comfortable using math and doing equations until I could apply it, sorry, to what I'm doing now. Hands-on, hands-on work that I could, just apply to real life. I just calculus, all that just didn't make sense to me. So yeah, that's when I decided, when I had graduated from high school. But then I continued on to UCCI, and I was actually studying to pursue an associate in physical sciences to then go on to my engineering degree, still trying to stick it out.
Right.
And I was going to finish, and I think at that point in time is when I actually started to work at a place called Kids Zone at the time. I used to do like summer classes there, with the kids, summer camps, and I would bake with them all the time. And of course, one of them was, in the Passport to Success program.
Yes, you do recognize the little face.
The face, right? And it was just so rewarding being able to see how much joy that brought to them. And it brought so much joy to me. And that was when I decided, and I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to bring this to my parents again, and we're going to hash this out and see where we go from here. And brought it to them again, and they said, you know what? If it's something you really want to do, we're going to support you, and we're gonna get behind you 100%. So that was when we then had a talk with a family friend, who was in government at the time, and got me set up with a scholarship, and then an internship at Michael's Genuine Food and Drink in Kamana Bay. And I was there working for the summer, and I came into the kitchen. I had no idea what I was doing. Everybody was in there doing their thing. These are all professionals in the kitchen, and I'm in there like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? So I'm in the kitchen, and I remember the first day is when I met Chef Hetty Goldsmith. So Michael's Genuine Food and Drink actually has another location in Miami, And the chefs from there would come down every once in a while to, see how things are going, work in the kitchen and Cayman, and then, go back. And the namesake chef, the restaurant is named after Chef Michael Schwartz. He would come down as well. So Chef Hetty Goldsmith is actually she was executive pastry chef of Michael's Journey at the time. And I remember the first day working with her, it was mango season. I never forget that. And we had probably about 200 to 300 pounds of mangoes for me to peel and process, okay. Right? Now, this is an awesome chef. I mean, she's probably had 30 odd years experience at the time, and here I am covered from head to toe, and she has to take me and basically get me ready to go to university in September. And I had my doubts. I was like, this is just crazy. The first couple of days was crazy being on my feet 10, 12 hours.
Right.
But it was something that I saw myself doing long term. It just seemed like the right fit for me.
Yeah.
And anybody who ever asks, I will always tell them, if the kitchen is the right fit for you, if you just find yourself saying, okay, well, it's 2:00 in the morning, I kind of feel like I want a little something. You go into the kitchen and you whip something up, and it's not a task for you.
Right.
And I will always tell young people, if you are interested in the culinary arts, definitely get into the industry. I know not everybody can afford to work for free, but that is something that benefited me.
Right.
Being able to get into the workplace and work under people, see what they were doing, right. And, apply that. Because let me tell you, when you go overseas and you're in a kitchen, like a student kitchen full of different students that have gone to vocational schools for 4 or 5 years, you are a drop in the bucket. Right. And that's what I realized when I started university in Rhode Island. I went to Johnson & Wales University. And my first day there, it was like everybody was pre-programmed and I knew exactly what I needed to do. I had a couple months experience in the kitchen, thank goodness. But if I had gone in there, because you don't need a prerequisite to get into culinary school, right. You just start. But okay. A lot of these kids already knew what they wanted to do for years.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a little bit about how I got started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it's a great story. And as you were talking, I was thinking about my daughter actually wanting. She said she wanted to be a chef for a long time. She's like, I want to be a chef, I want to be a doctor, and I want to be a hairdresser. So this has been like. So and some things just kept falling off. So the doctor fell off first. I was like, come on, you sure? Because like parents are always like, you're gonna be a doctor, right? You're gonna be a doctor. And she was like, no, I don't want to do that again. And I'm like, you sure? No. I still want to be a hairdresser though, and I want to be a chef. So those things kind of stayed on for a while. And at about 12, 13, she wanted to do the chef thing. And so we looked up a summer camp in Chicago, and there was a culinary summer camp that I took her to. Mm-hmm. And so she was in this summer camp for a couple of weeks, and she'd come home every day and she'd be like, I'm exhausted. I don't know if I want to do this again. And she created really great stuff, and she's a great cook. She loves it. She doesn't think it's a task, like you said, right. But it's not something she wanted to do. And I think like I did that quite a bit with my children at certain ages of their life. When they said they wanted to do something, I was like, all right, let's do that. And I'd look up a summer camp, and they weren't wearing like the 95 or at the time $150 shoes, right? Because like I was spending my money in other areas because I couldn't afford, I was a single mother, so I couldn't afford like maybe the most recent Nikes. But if they said that they like something or whatever, I said, all right, let's see if we can check that out and see if you can get that experience, and just kind of promoting their future, right? And so those are some of the things that I did. And as you were talking, I kind of remembered that she tried it out and she said, no, this is not what I want to do for a career. So I think it's really important. You talked about being an engineer, but just finding yourself, learning more about what's going to make you happy, right. What felt natural to you. And so when she started to tell me that she wanted to be a performer, she wanted to be an entertainer, she wanted to sing and dance and act. I mean, she was serious. And she's amazing,
She
and she
is. Oh my
she really
goodness.
is. And that was something that she started talking about around 16, 17,
Mhm.
and she was serious about it. And she had been in dance since she was like 4 years old,
Right.
right?
I
Because we're
remember
always
watching her.
always having her in some little thing. And yeah, and so I think that that's really very serious. And I love for parents to hear stories like this, because I want them to start paying attention. It would be really great if they started to pay attention to when their children talk about certain
Mhm.
things, and not worry about money. And I always want to point that out. And you mentioned that, the
Yeah.
scholarships and stuff like that. The last thing you worry about is money. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Take it from a lady who had no money, who was raising three little kids on her own. Money is not the issue. But if the desire is there, if the love is there, if the interest is there, and it's something you want to do with your life, you'll find the right
Right.
people to
Mhm.
connect you with the money,
Right.
with the resources. And so there you were, kind of on your way. And what you mentioned too that I loved was, you know, doing something for free, like going in and trying it out and not thinking that everything has to pay you in dollars and cents,
Right.
because the experience paid you, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure you can probably fall back on a lot of things that you learned standing next to that chef.
Oh my goodness. I mean, in everything I do these days, I will find, I mean, now that have my business, I find it
Right.
more now because, I mean, if you're working for somebody else, which I did for quite a few years before I began my business, you're obviously doing things at a standard that they want them done. But now that I'm doing things on my own way, I'm like, oh my goodness, this seems a lot like Hetty. Oh, this is exactly what she showed me. I remember one day we had to bake a batch of cookies. And at the time, I was still an apprentice. Like, I was really, it's just learning. And she left for the day, gave me a recipe to do, and it was a big batch of cookies. And she came back. She's like, "What is this?" And she's like, "Who made these?" I was like, "Me." She's like, "What did you do?" So basically, it was a cookie recipe. It was like a chocolate chip cookie recipe that you had to mix in the stuff at the end. However, I mixed them in the beginning. So when you mix things into a batter or a cake mix, and you mix them for too long, they obviously break apart and turn the thing whatever color it is, right? So they were hideous. They were horrible. I got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah, as you
But
should have.
yeah, but I don't do, I've never done that again. I will say,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah, it, it,
yeah,
it, it breeds success, I think, when you get those
absolutely.
things. So I just want to read a little bit more of
Sure.
your bio, just so listeners can kind of hear a little bit about that background. So in high school, Brittany was a peer counselor, youth assembly president, school prefect, yearbook committee editor, and a member of both Toastmasters and Junior Achievement, where she received the Production Manager of the Year award. Clearly doing nothing in high school, just wasting your time away, Brittany. So Brittany graduated high school in 2008 and enrolled at UCCI with the intention of pursuing a bachelor's degree in physical sciences so that she could later move on to a career as a structural engineer, as she just
Mhm.
told you, but realized her true calling was in baking and pastry arts. So you began baking as a hobby
Mhm.
in your spare time while you were preteen, sharing creations amongst friends and family. And it was something that you grew up with. So your family, your grandmother used to bake also,
Mhm.
right? And that's a
Yeah.
whole Kimanian thing.
Oh yeah.
All of us have stories of being in that kitchen with our grandmother. My great grandmother, I'd be in the kitchen with her, the cassava
Mhm.
cake and
Mm.
all those good stuff. Yeah. And so upon finishing her associate's degree in physical sciences at UCCI in 2011, Brittany applied to Johnson and Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, where she was accepted in the baking and pastry arts degree program. And I wanted to say that because I want people to hear how far that was. Like Rhode Island, it's near New York, it's near Boston, Connecticut. It's pretty far. Winters are brutal,
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Right. So,
Mm.
sometimes the road to success can be snowy.
Yes, it can. Icy.
Yeah.
That's one of the things my parents asked me when I said that I wanted to go there because, like I said, there are other campuses, because Richard attended one of them.
Right.
But they were like, "You sure you want to go so
Well, he
far
didn't attend
away?"
Johnson and Wales. He went to University of North Carolina,
Ah,
and he had a
right,
girlfriend
right.
that was attending that. That's how he ended up in North Carolina. It's a story of a girl. But he was doing earth sciences,
Yes.
hydrogeology, and engineering. He's what is he? Environmental engineer. So he was doing that, but he chased the girl. So
Mm,
anyway,
that's a story for
it's
another
all
day.
history. It's all history as they call it.
For
So
sure.
yeah, so there's
Yeah.
Rhode Island and
Yeah.
there's North Carolina as
So
well, and
there's
Florida as well.
Yes, and Florida. They're actually, I think they're closing the Miami campus though, and there's
Okay.
actually Denver as well. So
Oh
there are a
wow,
whole bunch of different
a lot of cold
campuses,
places.
a lot of freezing
That's why they're
places.
leaving Miami.
Oh my gosh, I knew Denver was out. That one
Yeah,
was out from the beginning.
yeah.
But no, I went and
That was
my
pretty
parents,
far from your
yeah,
family.
it was. But you know what? The one thing I said to myself about my university experiences, what I wanted to have was I wanted to have an experience.
Absolutely.
You know, I didn't just want to be hop, skip, and a jump away from home, could board a plane any weekend. And there's nothing wrong with that because some people do, like to be home as much as they possibly can. But I knew
Right.
it wasn't for me. I wanted to be there. I wanted to do things myself, have my own place, and be there just kind of doing my thing.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So it really was an experience, and I believe that all young Caymanians should have an opportunity to go into the real world, see what the real people are doing. Because
Right.
not only are you learning how to really function in a larger pool, but you can bring all that back. And when you bring that back, you are like a big old fire ready to just burn and light up the
Yes.
place,
Yep.
but in a good way, right?
Absolutely.
So Brittany graduated summa cum laude, which ain't nothing to snuff at, because that means that's 4.0, in 2014 from Johnson and Wales University and holds a bachelor's degree of science in baking and pastry arts. And then you returned home, started working at Michael's Genuines, and then some of the stuff you were telling us. So when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about how you went from Michael's Genuine to where you are now. I want to talk about that. But man, I just want to say congratulations for all this stuff because obviously you were very, very productive and busy. And I like parents to hear these stories too, because if your children are just home playing video games, burning your electricity and just, consuming, something ain't right. Get them involved with stuff. Get them involved with free stuff if you can't afford to pay for, them to go to piano classes or whatever. Get them involved in junior achievements or get them involved in key club or whatever it is. These are some things that won't cost you any money, but they got to be productive. You have to start preparing them for the life that they will lead without you, or they will always have to lean on you. I'm gonna say that again. So
Correct.
prepare them for the life they will lead without you, or they will always have to lean on you. All right, let me just say amen then. I'm gonna go ahead and take a quick break. Brittany, you gonna stay with me? Chef Brittany is in the house. Chef Brittany Seymour. This is Thursday Success 101. This is a lovely young lady that has her degree in culinary arts, and she is now a business owner. She's been a business owner for a while, but she is really going for it. And you just want to hear some more and taste some of those goodies. So stay tuned. We'll be back with more Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. We'll be right back.
943-3700. More Straight Talk to come on Star 9. Would you like your charity?
And good afternoon and welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. This is Catherine Tyson, your host. And thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. We are talking with Chef Brittany Seymour, who is the owner of Scratch Gourmet Desserts. She's the executive pastry chef. She has a degree in from Johnson and Wales. She has a bachelor's degree in science in baking and pastry art. Started out thinking she was going to be an engineer, but that is not what happened. She has joined us this afternoon to tell us her story. And before the break, I was talking about all the stuff she was involved with and from high school days and continued to keep herself busy and productive. Graduating summa cum laude. I have to keep saying that because that was amazing. I know what that means. That is some hard work. Because I had one that was magna and one that was cum. So I'm going to tell them today. See, Brittany was summa. You see ya, lazy brutes. So, and of course, that's not so, right? Another little nugget of inspiration this afternoon. It's okay if you fall down and lose your spark. Just make sure that when you get back up, you rise at the whole fire. And that's Colette Worden. I love that. I just love, and that's the truth. We're going to fall. And today I had another guest come to speak to the young people today at Passport to Success. And she said, there's no such thing as fail. You either win or you learn. I love it, right?
Absolutely.
I love that. She said, no such thing. You win or you learn. So tell us, Brittany, what are some of the things that you've learned and what are you up to now? You are the owner of Scratch Gourmet Desserts. We want to talk about that. So come on, tell us.
Yeah, so I will just begin with a little bit about what I do now.
Okay.
So after I left my last job as the junior pastry chef at Marriott Grand Cayman Resort, while I was there, I actually had Scratch and I was doing it in my spare time, which wasn't much spare time, but I was doing it. And then it just blew up, and I was like, okay, I really need to do something. So either I stay here and the business stays here, or I move out. And that's when I said, okay, I'm gonna leave. In the words of my mom, she was like, when I first told her, she's like, sweetie, sometimes you need to just hop out on that limb with a prayer and just do what you need to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go, mom.
Go, mom. Go, mom. And, so that's what I did. And I had a lot of support from my partner. I won't mention his name here.
Right. Did you meet him in school?
No, I actually met him when I got back
Okay.
from school. My mom,
Okay.
actually, funnily enough, yeah, he was my mom's insurance agent, and she'd come home every time she'd go in there because she used to have to renew my insurance every month on her car until mine came. She's like, oh, it's just this lovely, lovely guy in there. I'm like, mom, yeah, okay. And at that time, I was in the kitchen. I wasn't worried about any of that.
Right.
And it came time when my car had arrived. I'd ordered a car and it came and I went in and he was the one who dealt with me. He actually saved me. I tell everybody this and he's like, oh gosh, not that story again. But
he's your Prince Charming.
He's my Prince Charming. He saved me money on my car insurance.
Oh, look at that. That was his white horse.
But he's wonderful. And he's been a big support. And we've been together now almost 7 years, and there's just so much that I've gotten through because of him, and of course because of my family as well.
That's great.
My parents, and my siblings, friends. It has not been an easy road.
Really?
No.
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm going to go into that.
Okay.
Being an entrepreneur is not easy. There are many nights where you're up alone. It's lonely.
Yeah.
It can be lonely, even if you have the whole village behind you.
Yeah.
You are the only one that's steering that boat on that course, especially
It's all you.
It's all you.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things you need to keep at the forefront of your mind. It won't always be like that, but most times there's nobody who can replace you in that position.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what happens too sometimes? Sometimes it's the fear of that make people run away from it.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, so share some of that, that information with the people that might be thinking about entrepreneurship and afraid.
I can say entrepreneurship is something that runs in my family, in my blood. My dad is one. My dad's dad was one. My grandmother is one. So it's something that has always been there. So I've never quite been afraid of it, but I do have really bad anxiety, which is getting better now.
Yeah.
But there are some times where I am afraid of failure. And I've kind of come past that now because Scratch is so successful. Thank goodness, I've been able to get it to the point where it is.
Amen.
But
So we'll clap the back.
we'll
Yay, yay,
clap.
yay, yay, yay. All right, good.
But that
And you can follow her on Instagram right now too. What is it?
yes, it
Scratch.
is Scratch Gourmet Desserts.
Okay. Scratch
Yes.
Gourmet Desserts.
Yeah.
You find her there, and it's amazing, amazing stuff. You want to go check it out. All right. That's my shameless plug. for you.
Your shameless plug. But yeah, so like I said, it was without failure, and there's a lot of fear behind entrepreneurship. It's not for everyone. Definitely not. Some people prefer to have a steady job, because by any means, entrepreneurship is not steady. Um, I will say, there are some days where you can bring home this amount of money, or there's some days where you can bring this home.
Right.
It just factors in how it takes a lot to go out on your own. But one thing I can say is that it's just such a rewarding experience, and I say this all the time, I wouldn't go back and work for someone else. It would take a lot for that
Really?
to happen. A lot.
Wow.
It would have to be really, really bad.
Wow.
And
You'd rather stay up
I
baking
would
those
rather-
donuts.
Absolutely. The longest I've ever stayed up for the business is probably about 36 hours. And I'm not trying to glamorize,
Right.
not getting sleep, because sleep and rest is very important.
Yeah,
And I realized that at one point I was working 7 days a week, and I wasn't realizing how much I was working because I enjoy it so much.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, boyfriend stepped in and said, "Hey, I'm working a lot." I'm like, oh my goodness, I am, right?
Right.
And that was me juggling everything, family, relationship, other things, family, friends, and wasn't realizing. And I got kind of sick, stressed out, and I started to develop a whole bunch of allergies, a whole bunch of different things. And that's one of the hardships that can come from entrepreneurship when it's something that you're trying to succeed at.
Right.
Because, like I said, it's not easy, but it's something that is so rewarding once you work at it and you continue to work at it. And I've had the business now about, I want to say, 8 years. It has been 4 or 5 years full time, and it has definitely not been without letdowns.
So 4 or 5 years full time,
Right,
being your own,
My
having
own,
your running your own
yeah.
business, and that being your sole
sole
income.
right?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Congrats for
Thank
that
you.
as well.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It hasn't been easy, but it's something that I know that I want to do. It's a bakery is something that I have always seen myself. I've always seen myself owning a bakery ever since I went into culinary arts. That was what
Right.
I wanted to do. It wasn't okay, I'm going to work here for this person. And while that is great, there are some great employers out there in the culinary industry here and abroad. There are some places that you can go and learn so much from, but you need to ask yourself, okay, is this where I want to be for the rest of my working life? Is this
Right.
where I want to be? Not just a physical place, but you as a person in this place.
Right. Right.
Do you want to do more? And that was what I want to do more.
Right.
So, like I said, I was working at Marriott after leaving Michael's Genuine, because at the time, while I was working there, I had only come back from school, and I'd been working there a year, and they closed, they got bought out. So it was either you could stay on and work with the company that bought them, or you could move on, and I chose to move on. And I got a job at Marriott, and I did not think I would get this job that I moved. I went in for my interview, and in the culinary arts, usually especially in baking and pastry, they'll have you do a stage interview, which is where you come in and you demo your skills. You do a certain recipe, everybody tastes it. There's usually a panel of the head chef, everybody else, like the managerial staff, and then you get called back. So the head chef there at the time, when I applied for the job, was like, okay, well, we want you to come in for an interview, come in, with some recipes or whatever, and we'll taste. So I come in the day of, and I meet him. Hi, chef, how are you? Oh, yeah, great. Oh, where's your stuff? What stuff? Your baked goods, your desserts. I said, sorry. You mean you wanted me to make them beforehand and bring them? Yes.
Right.
And I was thinking to myself, because I'm young at the time, I didn't have it in me to go back and say, well, okay, chef, is this what you want me to do in an email? No, I
Right.
said, okay, this must be what he meant.
Right.
And every other stage interview I'd done for internships had been like this, where you go in and you actually do the work in the kitchen. So they were actually expecting me to bring stuff in. And I thought that didn't make sense at the time because I was like, well, anybody could have made this. So I go in, I don't know anybody in the kitchen. They're like, okay, well, you have an hour to make whatever it is you're going to make. And I said, oh my gosh,
Right.
how am I going to do this?
Right.
So I'm there trying to find everything. It's absolutely insane. My mind, I'm so giddy. And what I make is just not a representation of me whatsoever. I made a cake and it was just the buttercream on it was falling apart. It was separating and everybody's tasting it. Oh my gosh, I wish the ground would swallow me up. And it's over. And they're like, okay, well, thanks for coming in. I get back to my car. Not even 5 minutes later, I get an email saying that I got a position.
Of course.
I was shocked, shocked. And I started work there. It was really, really demanding. It was long hours. I want to say that's probably the hardest job I've ever worked at.
Wow.
I haven't worked many, but in the kitchen, I find that there are two types of kitchen settings. There's the hotel industry, and then there's a restaurant industry. With the hotel industry, it's so much more fast paced, and that's where I like to say I learned to move there. I learned to move.
Right.
Like, it's just nonstop. We expect this of you. We have 300 people coming in today. It could be on a whim. And that's where I learned a lot. And it broke me at times, I want to say, because there were times
Wow.
where you'd have people who would break down in the dry storage or go in the cooler and have a cry and
Oh,
come back
dear.
out, and
Really?
it was, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And it can get hectic, and it was just, I would forget to eat. And that was one of the hardest parts about it too. I mean, I'm smaller, you can see me now, but at that job, I probably lost about 15 pounds.
Oh my. We could barely see you then.
Right?
Wow.
And people would ask, well, you're in a kitchen, why aren't you eating? But it's not. I'm working. My mind isn't in that space. I'm not in a headspace.
Right.
So I probably have like a muffin for the day. But that was something to get used to. And I want to say that it was a hard and easy. I mean, it was kind of an easy decision when I decided to leave because, of course, I had scratch. Because I'd had enough of that moving and that fast pace. Although my business is quite fast paced, it's on my terms.
Right.
And I want to share a part that really kind of upset me while I was there. I'd grown to become friends with a lot of people in my time at that job.
Right.
Some people had actually said, that they actually had a bet on how long I would last.
Oh, wow.
As it came up.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
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 That's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know to this day who that was,
Yeah.
but it was a few people.
How long did you last?
I was there I was almost 2 years. 2 years.
Okay. You know why I think that's a very interesting statement to hear is that there's always so much talk and criticism about Caymanians and Caymanian workers. And first of all, they're all offensive. And I spend a lot of time talking to Caymanians about how we need to conduct ourselves always in order for us to not be spoken about in an offensive way. So I want to take responsibility for what it is that we're doing. If we're not showing up, if we're late, if we're lackluster, if we're not really putting our best foot forward, then of course businesses have to run and they have to choose the best of the best. But when I hear people like yourself say that, or I might have an experience about that, or people that I know that are stellar, then I just think, okay, so it's not just the justification of, oh, people are not doing what they're supposed to do. So that it's this kind of general feeling that people think that they can make comments like that about amazing Caymanians, and that's offensive. So there's you know what I mean. So the whole offensive, but let's fix it.
Right.
But just being offensive is ridiculous. And I always say we cannot continue to feel like, all right, we're opening our doors, we're inviting everybody in, but they can't come in and then kick us out.
Exactly.
Because that's kind of what that story sounds like. Like, Why are you betting on me to leave?
Right?
This is my
You know,
country. You are you leaving?
it's crazy.
It's my country.
You know,
Exactly.
because I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of people, when I first began in culinary and decided I wanted to make a career out of it, um, a lot of the people I would talk to that are, pioneers in the restaurant industry would be like, "Oh, you want to be a chef? Well, why? Oh, why did you get into it?
Thank you.
Why are you asking me
Thank
these
you.
questions? Like,
Exactly.
I can do what I want to do. Thank you, and I'm very hardworking, and
Absolutely.
not
Like,
all of us are."
yeah. So how is it okay for you, but you're actually advising me
Not
against
to
it?
do it.
That's funny because I had an experience where I was visiting this lady, amazing home. Oh my goodness, like this amazing home. Had 6 bedrooms. It was upstairs, down. It was a pool in the back. It was just amazing. And I was like, oh my goodness, like this is such a beautiful house. Like I was looking at some houses in this area. She's like, you don't want a house this size. And I just thought, oh, excuse me.
Okay.
You don't, no, trust me. I would advise anyone not to get a house this size. And I'm like, you're in a house this size.
Thank you.
I just literally, you just answered the door you came out of your pool, you answered your door with a towel around you, and you would say to me, you don't want a house this size? Like, I think people don't even realize sometimes this how foolish they're actually sounding. So what I'll say is let's not believe the foolishness that they're talking about. Let's not be deterred, but let's see the foolishness, see right through it, and be like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do that, right? And do it if you want, and not be deterred by that. But definitely, just really amazing to know how hard you work, how hard it is for you to put yourself in the position of realizing your dream, and now you're there, and then you're still getting all of this stuff.
Yes, you
Yeah,
have to almost. I had to grow a very thick skin.
absolutely.
I had always
You
been
got hair
very.
and don't hear,
Oh my goodness!
see and
I've
don't
heard some
see.
things.
Yeah,
I've been told some things, and when someone's saying something to you that is sounding positive, but you look and you can see right through them and their words and
yes.
their actions.
Oh
I got
my.
a lot of that.
Oh my. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there were a lot of tears. I
Yeah.
would come home and I can tell you I stuck it out almost 2 years. Let me tell you, I wanted to leave, you know,
Every day.
every day. But I am
Yeah.
not that type of person. My parents didn't raise me to be that way. And if I start something, I'm gonna stick it out as long as I possibly
Yeah.
can.
If it kills you,
Right?
we gotta stop that
We
too.
gotta stop that, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, it was just one of those things. And of course, it wasn't just from people who weren't necessarily Cayman, and it came from our
Right.
own as
Your own
well.
people. Yeah.
I remember delivering a cake for a classmate of mine, his mom, and she didn't realize it was me.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh, this is what you're doing now?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a degree in a bachelor's of science in baking and pastry art." She's like, "Oh, you were always so smart. I thought you're going to be
Turn out to be
turn out to
more than
be."
this.
I was like, "Wow, all right." I mean, I just made your cake. I hope it tastes great.
Yeah, it's $200.
Right?
It's like,
You
I think I'm all right.
oh my gosh. But that's one of the things.
Well, the thought process too, which is ridiculous. And I think
Right.
so we get pigeonholed into this. We have to be a lawyer, we have to be a doctor, and then sadly, we're not ending up being a doctor or a lawyer because we don't like it. We're not interested in it. Some people might not even have the passes enough to get into UCCI, much less anything else. But because we've set that up, then nothing else is success.
Right.
That's crazy. And that's why on this show, I want to bring people from different arenas, from different professions and careers to say, hey, it doesn't look like one thing, it can look like anything. It can look like anything. And so, yeah, you're brilliant. You're smart. You graduated summa cum laude. I'm still on that. My boys are going to get it this afternoon. You graduated summa cum laude. So you are still that girl, but you are now a business owner. And that is enough. That's actually amazing because if other people can bring a cake to your door, why can't a Caymanian bring a cake to your
Right.
door
What's
that I
wrong with
created?
that? What
Yeah.
is wrong with that?
So tell us a little bit about scratch gourmet desserts. Let's talk about that. Let's spend the rest of the time bragging and ringing that bell and beating that horn about scratch gourmet desserts.
Sure. So Scratch is my baby. You know, we make
Is it a
donuts.
little toddler now? Or it's still,
No,
it's still,
it's
it's a little
still in
suckling?
it's still in the cot. is
Oh,
still
okay,
crying
okay,
every second of the day.
okay. But it's looking out. But it's starting to look out. So
It's
it's
starting
getting
to look
bigger.
out. It's starting
Okay.
to pull up on the crib. But
Good.
so it's been something that like I said, I started from scratch. Hence the name
Scratch.
Everything
All
is made
right.
100% from scratch. So we make cakes, we make donuts, cruffins. So a cruffin, if you don't know what a cruffin is, it is a mix between a croissant and a muffin. And then
That
we
sounds
make
crazy and ridiculous and fattening.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what I usually tell a lot of my customers that say that? Well, you know what? Listen, this is all fat free, this is sugar free, because it's whatever you feed the mind.
All right.
Right? It's what
Okay.
you feed
I'll
the
buy
mind.
that. I'll buy that. I'm down with
Uh,
that.
so yeah, and of course, I've had such immense success within the local economy. People have been so supportive. I
Yeah.
definitely did not think that this would be our busiest period, but it is. I've had to stop taking orders right now.
Well, I'm glad I made the cut.
So we're well, I say we. I'm talking about the business,
Of
but
course.
so we're just taking a set amount of orders for the week online until I can move into our space, our
Okay.
bakery space.
Nice. Oh, nice. Well, last week, Brittany came out. Was it last week,
It
right?
was last week.
Last week, Brittany came out to speak with the Passport to Success kids, and she brought a dozen donuts. And let me tell you something: if you haven't had a donut from scratch gourmet desserts, you haven't had a donut yet. So uh, that old time, I'm telling you, like I'm gonna say this, and I mean it. Of course, I'm not comparing you to anything, but if people can remember Wholesome Bakery donuts, like people talk about, we
My
talk about their patties
goodness.
and their donuts, and we used to crush them together and eat them in school. It's insane, right? We literally like
My
how they put the cocoa bread in
yeah,
it. We
and
used to
just
do it with the donuts,
oh my
with the
goodness.
glazed donuts. If you guys remember Wholesome Bakeries, um, you know, like their glazed donuts, it is so similar. It is amazing. It is moist. It is rich. It is crazy. You have to order it. You have to. So she came out with a dozen donuts, and she had one with a chocolate chip cookie connected to it. So if you've never seen a donut with a chocolate chip cookie, like if you're going crazy over Subway cookies, like you need to get this donut. And then you had one a coconut one. It was just a one bunch of madness going
A
on
bunch of
in
madness.
that box. And those young people were just insane. And so I ordered on the weekend. I ordered a dozen for this week, and you brought them out today. And the same craziness. I got two in my car. I had to hide them. I had to hide them because I
I'm
will be
glad you got
eating
them. Oh
them.
my
I will
goodness.
be eating them. Try not to eat them in secret because I look wrong, but very, very delicious. So check out, Chef Brittany on Scratch Gourmet Desserts. Where again on Instagram so they can see your stuff.
Yeah, so it's Scratch Gourmet Desserts. That's a handle. That's my handle on Instagram.
Okay.
And like I said, right now we're not taking any orders, but we are taking waitlist orders
Okay.
for each week. So on Mondays at 7 p.m. On our website, if you just go on Google and type in Scratch Gourmet Desserts, it should pop up, and you can click on there. 7 p.m. on Mondays, then we do our
Okay.
online shop.
So it's no more orders for this week.
No
But
more
if
orders
they-
in general.
Okay.
So what I was doing before the platform was I was taking custom orders, I was taking event orders, and then I was doing day to day. And it's just gotten to be so much for me. So I've just ceased taking the custom day to day. So anything that you do order or you purchase on the site is going to be set. You
Okay.
can't choose it exactly.
Okay. Okay.
But you still are getting same quality. I make sure to put the best of flavors in each box. So you still are getting a little bit until I can move into the space and have some extra hands for help, right? Because I mentioned before getting burnt out,
Yes.
and that's something that I want to stop from happening before I move into the space, so I can have a little bit of energy.
Of course, of course. You don't want to
Yeah.
work to live. Like I said, you want to
Right.
live to work, and
Right.
so it can't all be you doing the heavy lifting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when do you think? Like, when's your projection for that?
Well, this is such a tricky question.
Yes.
We have our space sorted out, but it needs to be outfitted. There's a lot that
Right.
needs, a lot of working parts
Right.
that need to get moving first. But I'm hoping by the end of the year, if not early 2022.
Okay.
And there's a lot that I have not pulled the trigger on lately because I
Okay.
just don't want to do it before I get into
Of
the
course.
space.
Of course.
So I haven't told many people this, but I intend on doing cassava cake donut.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that just sounds That's I don't ridiculous is my word, but ridiculous means amazing. Like a
Yeah.
cassava
A
cake
cassava
donut.
cake donut.
Mercy
Yeah.
rewrote my life.
Oh
Can't
yeah.
wait for that one.
And so it is my dream to not only have a bakery, own a bakery, but to tie in modern elements with Caymanian history,
All
Cayman
right.
cooking traditions.
Oh man, that sounds good.
It's yeah, I intend to have swanky on top.
Yeah.
When you come into the bakery, elements
Nice.
of Caymanian history, and of course, see it in the food as well. Because, like I said, the cassava cake donut, I want that to be a pinnacle.
Okay.
And it's just something I haven't started yet because I'm waiting for the right time
Well,
to
if you
bring that in.
if you need help outfitting it, I know a guy.
All right, I'll let you know.
Yes, for sure. You got to stick together
Oh
here.
yeah, definitely.
Oh, this has been such fun. This has been amazing catching up with you, Brittany. You come back into my life in such a just an explosive way, and you've touched so many people in just in my sphere in the last 2 weeks because you really touched those young people last week. Thank you for talking to them. They were so inspired by you. You're as tall as a minute, like but you pack a big punch, and congratulations on all of your success. You deserve it. You have worked very hard for it. You've earned it, and it is time. It is time for you to shine, and for all of us to shine, for Caymanians to shine,
Yeah.
and to show themselves, and not be hiding in the dark anymore, in the bushes, watching everybody else shine. This is our country, and so this show represents that. Thursday Success 101 represents all of us as Caymanians being able to showcase ourselves and support each other. So
Yes.
go to Scratch Gourmet Desserts, check her out on Instagram, go check out the website, see what orders are able to be put in at this time, but support, support, support. Thank you. Congratulations, Brittany. You're as lovely then. You're lovely as lovely now as you were then. And
And
I'm
so are
so thank you. And I'm so happy that we parents continue to contribute these amazing people to society because that's what we're doing, parents. We are contributing people to society one way or the other, whether it's positive people or negative people, whether it's damaged people or healthy people, we are presenting them to society. And I, for one, am proud to know that Chef Brittany Seymour has been presented to society from some great people, and I thank them too.
I thank them every day. Every
Absolutely.
day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, not a day goes by.
What one quick thing? What would you
Sure.
tell a young person that is they want to fulfill their dreams, but they're in question? You got 60 seconds.
Okay, all right. So what I would say, and I say this to every young person who is asked to get into their dreams in this profession. Okay, they should get into a kitchen, any kitchen. Learn from others.
Or
Learn
any
from
profession.
just any profession. Definitely get into the workplace and learn as much as you possibly can, whether it's paid, unpaid. Find somebody who's already in that profession, who's able to give you a small bit of advice. Learn, look online, find other people who are in those professions and learn from them. Don't reinvent the wheel. That I didn't.
Right.
That's how I learned.
Right. You
Yeah.
don't have to do all the heavy lifting.
No, you don't.
There are people who have lifted already. They can tell you how heavy it is, and they can help you
Yes.
along the way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Okay,
Appreciate
it's
you being
Catherine.
here. And thank you all so much for tuning in this afternoon. You have a great evening and you have a great Friday and a great weekend when it comes. And I will talk with you again on Monday. Have a great, great, great night. Take care.
Connect to the culture.